Welcome to AIL TV. It is very exciting to have guests here in the virtual studio, as you can see. We are going to be discussing Black Lives Matter, and of course we're going to sneak into business as well, because we cannot just be talking about troubleshooting problems when we have got other things, good things happening. Anyway, tonight I have got two guests. I've got Ismael Lee South, the man I consider to be my friend. Yes. He's been here at the research box. I am at the research box here. And there are somewhere else. But the world of technology is bringing us together. We are on it. So, Ismael Lee South is going to be discussing, is going to give us an insight about Black Lives Matter and why does he think that it is important to have it. Then we have got Justin OnueKwusi. I think I am pronouncing his name properly. Now, these gentlemen here, let me bring them on the screen. They're both wearing glasses, so you don't know. But the man in the beard is Lee South. And the clean cut, Justin. So, gentlemen, welcome. We want now to talk about Black Lives Matter because it's been trending a lot on social media, in the news, but it seems to be actually going down, the strength of it. Now, for that, I do not understand what the reason is. But before I jump into the question, let me introduce you properly. Let me do this. Yes, you know, the height of demonstrations about which brought up this movement, Black Lives Matter, even stronger, it was the death of George Floyd. But I have been asking a question. Why does it keep happening? Because you remember 1991, they did the same in Los Angeles, Rodney King, when he was beaten up by 4 cops and later released. So that one just died, and then we didn't hear anything about it. But black people in America have been dying since then, since 1991. And in fact, there is a report which says that in 2015, the cops shot 1,134 people, and 85% were black people. So that is one. Secondly, I want to outline this. I am an African. I look like anyone black from America. I look like anyone black from the Caribbean. But when the issue of Black Lives Matter comes in, I don't see where I fit in. Because they are saying they want to stop police brutality. That is, yes, we do accept that. But I would like this Black Lives Matter to extend all the way to Africa, because we are the same. We look the same. If I was to walk on the street with these gentlemen here, nobody will know where I am from. They will see us as same people walking on the street. Although one is born here and one is got a dual parentage, I am an African. But someone will have, they won't actually know. Now, police brutality in Africa is really worse. Let me tell you, the reason why I'm saying it is worse than America, because when you see policemen on streets of Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, Central Republic, anywhere, you cannot imagine why would a policeman go and beat up old women who are selling stuff on the roadside just because they say that because of COVID-19, everybody, there is a curfew. So if you basically you bypass that curfew with 1 minute, you can either be shot. 2 months ago, about 3 months ago, a 13-year-old boy in Kenya was shot on his front door. And the mother was standing there. She couldn't do anything. So that is really, I say, that is really Black Lives Matter. So gentlemen, I don't want to bore our viewers. Now, I just want to throw this question to Ismael. Ismael.
Yes, sir.
Why do you think, okay, what do you think about Black Lives Matter?
My honest and straight opinion is most people that I come into contact seem to agree with me. We agree with the slogan of Black Lives Matter. And we're not saying that only Black Lives Matter. We're saying that all lives matter. But because we see injustice within society, as that's been proven by the Macpherson report, Stephen Lawrence, and by the Lamy report within the criminal justice system, and there's numerous other reports and reviews and research to show that there's institutionalized racism in the UK, and we know about the institutionalized racism in America. We're saying that Black Lives Matter too, okay? And basically, we're saying that we need to see accountability within the police force when or if they have killed someone, no matter what heritage background they're from. But what we seem to be seeing on a regular occurrence, when it seems to be a black person who has been killed or murdered, it's we haven't seen any just prosecution. So we need accountability within the police force. So those are the things that we agree with Black Lives Matter. But as that, like I said, most people agree with the slogan, the hashtag. We're living in 2020. We're living in a hashtag world. But the reality is most black people who I speak to do not agree with the organization. The sad reality is it was started, thankfully, by some nice teenagers in America who were doing it on Twitter, and it galvanized and it gained momentum worldwide. In the UK, we do not know who is the UK representative of Black Lives Matter. And I believe the reason, because of this reason, this is why we have seen many of their marches being hijacked by outside forces, which is nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. This is the reason why we have seen many campaigns that are being said in the name of Black Lives Matter, but is actually nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. I was introduced to some of the senior people from the UK Black Lives Matter a few years ago, around 3 or 4 years ago. But when I tried to get them for an event 18 months ago, these same people said, no, we're nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. We're nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. So I don't know if it's because what Donald Trump said, what made them, I don't know what issues they went through. So because of the lack of leadership we're seeing for Black Lives Matter, we're seeing many things, many issues being hijacked by Black Lives Matter. The issues are challenging racial inequality in society, challenging institutionalized racism, and pushing for police accountability of when someone has been injured, attacked, or killed by someone within the police force.
This is very interesting, very good. Now, I just want to go to Justin. Justin, you have heard what Ismael had to say. I just want to, I will go back again and ask the same question that I'm going to put to you, because he might have a different answer. Why do you think that we don't have a movement here, an equivalent of Black Lives Matter in Britain? Why do we have always to wait for something to come from America, then to follow? You have anything to say about that, Justin?
Yeah, so I do think when it comes to movements, particularly on social media, in the press, given that the US is typically central to the global landscape in terms of media and social media, I do think the US is quite important, and you do find that most of these movements do come out of the US. But there are definitely nuances that are different between the UK and the US. There are also lots of similarities. Black people in the UK, sorry, as we know, more likely to be stopped and searched, more likely to die in police custody. 1997. I haven't seen a stat since 1997 when Stephen Lawrence the Stephen Lawrence inquiry. We found that 40% of black murders are solved, whilst 90% of white murders are solved. I'm more likely as a black person to be classed as mentally ill, more likely to be exposed to violent crime. So clearly as a black person in the UK, you've got a lot of structural barriers in front of you. Now, when it comes to movements in the UK, the big challenge that we've seen with movements in the UK is that they tend to be quite fragmented. They start from the bottom up, but they haven't been able to galvanise and pull together lots of people to create a kind of a UK nationwide movement. So you do see very small movements that are all doing very well. But I think the next step for the UK is to bring all these movements together in order to have a unified knock, a unified voice, and really start to create real change throughout UK.
Now, the question is, you identify some of the reasons why. The reason why we can't have a big movement like Black Lives Matter or to galvanize people. I just want to ask this question. Both of you can answer it if in your own time. Do you think that we lack something we call community? Because it looks like there isn't really there isn't an idea of a community anymore. All I see is all about individualism. Don't get me wrong, because right now, black people here in the UK, they are doing very well. We can buy cars, nice cars. We can buy our own houses. We can take our children to nice schools. So basically, we have got all the basic equal rights. Yeah, we have them now. No one can deny that. Okay, someone might say there is racism bubbling under. We can't get jobs and stuff like that. But then we can come to that later. Do you think because of the community issue we are lacking, is that the reason why we cannot actually have a galvanized movement like Black Lives Matter in America? South, let me start.
Okay.
Yes.
My personal opinion is that we have to understand that the black community in the UK is not one community. We're not a monolithic community. We are a community of communities that are not working together in cohesion. So we have, as we said, we've got the Nigerian community. Then within the Nigerian community, you've got the Igbo, you've got the Hausa, you've got the Yoruba. Then you've got the Caribbean community. Within the Caribbean community, you've got the Jamaicans, you've got the Trinidadians, you've got the Bayesians. Then you've got the Grenadians. They've got the Grenadians because of the missus. And then you have within the African communities, you've got the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, the Sierra Leoneans. And what I've noticed is, because part of my work is to work with various black communities, is that a lot of these communities don't interact, they don't mix. And then within those communities, because as people of color, we're very faith orientated. So then you have the black Muslim community, you've got the black Christian community, you've got the black Rastafarian community, you've got the black Hebrew community. And then within those religious communities, then you got sectarian issues and school of thought issues. So within the black Christian community, you've got around, to be polite, at least 50 to 70 different denominations. Within the black Muslim community, the same thing. And the same with the Hebrews as well. So we're very fragmented. And I just believe the only way forward is if we could find a way to agree to disagree and find ways to work together. And it's for our leaders within our communities to come together to hopefully build stronger resilience within our communities to come together.
Oh, Justin, do you find the same issue, or do you have any other angle to come from that?
Yeah, I do actually. So I just listened to what Ishmael said, and it's spot on. I do think the US or African Americans they do have a slight advantage of a shared lived experience in that they typically making a big generalization here, their ancestors were used to be slaves in the US, and therefore that having that ancestry gives them a very important shared lived experience. When you look at black people in the UK, as Ismael said, they come from all different parts of the world. Actually, a lot of people in the UK came over, the Caribbean side came over in the Windrush. On the African side came, a little bit later, probably in the 70s or the 80s. And what this has done is created different communities across the UK. There is one point I just want to pick up on that you mentioned. Right, I think again, it's a really valid point that black people overall, we have progressed, and there are a number of people that are doing well. But all you need to do is look at the stats, and when you look at the stats, you see that actually black people, when it comes to how well we're doing in education, how are we getting the top roles? The Parker Review, just version 2 of the Parker Review, just a few months ago, showing that there's a lack of ethnicity on our UK boards of the largest institutions in the UK. So we're underrepresented. We're underrepresented at the top level in almost every single field. So, we are doing better. We are starting to do better, but still we're vastly underrepresented in the UK, and it's that needs to change.
Okay, yes, that's a very good point. Yes, we are underrepresented, but this is how I see it. Mm-hmm. There are two challenges there we have. Second, the first one is the numbers, because the black representation here in the UK, I think it's only 3%, isn't it?
Yes.
So now 3%, well, what is that? It's not even 5 million. It's about 3.
Yes.
About 3 million. Now, when you raise the point of saying that we are underrepresented, although we have got people who have got degrees, even PhDs, master degrees, that number is not big enough for us to see or to compete in the marketplace. That I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, I give you a few stats. I think when you look at the FTSE 350 in terms of black chairs and black CEOs, the number is definitely less than 3%. In my field as a fund manager, that's kind of the top of the investment field, so to speak. There's 12 fund managers out of. If you look at investment banking, managing directors, again, you're talking about probably less than 1% across the board. So I suppose that it is fair to say, okay, we need to benchmark it against something, but anything that I can see you can benchmark it against, black people are underrepresented when you look at those numbers. So, and this is the key reason why we started the movement Talk About Black. And this movement really is to create and help to create more black senior leaders in corporate institutions.
Yeah, because I was going to get to that question actually. The question, I am, my wife is an academic. He's been a lecturer at UCL for over 30 years. And we debate these issues very, very, very heavily. She's an English woman. She when she's talking about things, she doesn't have emotional attachment of racism and stuff like this. But I was going to ask a question, which actually Lee South, I'm always following him. I know what he's doing. I am going to ask, how do we get there? You have just mentioned that Talk About Black is about actually bringing black people together and finding people from different backgrounds, academic level or whatever it is. So this question, how do we get there? Our education, is our education still lacking? South.
Yes, so my personal opinion is we need people like Justin in all fields. So whereby Justin's talk about black is challenging inequality within the senior finance management sector. So we need people like Justin within academia. We need people like Justin within the political system. We need people like Justin in like I said, in all the plethoras of the various departments within the civil services, within the public services, because it needs to be done on all fronts. It might sound like a dream, but I believe it could happen one day. We need to find a way of getting our community leaders who are competent and diligent to find ways of working together with a strategy in challenging these issues, because we've seen other communities do this. Like we've seen the LGBTQ community, they've done this, they've worked together strategically. We know over 40, 50 years ago, how the LGBTQ community were perceived and treated in society, but by the certain individuals and certain leaders working together, and then working together strategically, they strategically joined organizations, pressure groups, campaigns, and now there's many fruits of labor that the LGBTQ community have within all various different industries and different walks of life. So I think there's something for us to learn from.
Yes. Thank you for watching. I am with two gentlemen here, Lee South, Ismael, and Justin OnueKwusi. So, I am back again to let me ask this question. I know we are still on this issue of Black Lives Matter because we want to recap, then we will go to Justin's section. Now, with Black Lives Matter, no, let us talk about black. Let us talk more about black, Justin, because this is, for me, is very, very interesting. So how do you make your movement be known or to reach people? Because I know the intentions are good, and probably you have got a different angle altogether in how you want to see black people. Yes. One thing that you said, you want actually to collect black people who will be leaders. Yes. And also we talked about education. Do you think we, as Lee South actually put it right, that we go on the street, we chant slogans and stuff like that, we come back and we forget. Then the police goes back again to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So your movement talk about black. What would you like actually to see? How do you plan to put this movement forward? Because I would be the first one on the front line to support it, 100 and plus 1%.
Yeah. So I think it's first important to try and understand why you're seeing so few black people get through to those senior levels. And we've identified what we call kinks in the hose pipe, which stop the talent from flowing through. The first one is around community. And this is kind of what we spoke about, that, when you look at the average black person, they tend to more further down the social mobility ladder than the average white person. So that already creates an uneven playing field. So that's the first kink. Then you've got pipeline, and this is really where it feeds through to education. And that what you see at the beginning of the schooling program, black people and white people and other ethnicities are really kind of at a level playing field. But by the end of education, the average black person, particularly black Caribbeans, tend to fall behind the average other ethnicities. Then you come on to entry. When you come into these corporate organizations, if you don't have the networks, if you don't have people who've already worked in the industry, if you don't know the rules of the game, if you don't know how to write an application form, then all of a sudden, you're not going to get into these roles. And also, are you actually going to be interested in these roles if you don't see any role models and people that look like you and sound like you in those roles? So that's a third kink entry. The fourth kink is progression. And this is actually what we're seeing, is that when people get into industries, they seem to kind of get to the 7-year level, and they hit a glass ceiling. They're not progressing further than that. So we've been trying to create mentoring schemes and so on and so forth to pull them through that glass ceiling. And the last kink, the final kink, is taboo. The fact that people just don't talk about ethnicity. People feel uncomfortable talking about it. I actually think we have seen a massive turning point, because now we are seeing that people are more willing to talk about ethnicity. And in particular, they're no longer talking about BAME, they're actually talking about B. They're talking about the B of BAME, they're talking about being black. And I think that is vitally important if we're going to really get through this situation. So at each of those kinks, you've got different solutions to unkink that hose pipe. And the idea is that by doing so, in a number of years, probably 5 to 10 years, we're thinking about, we're going to start to see black leaders start to come through. And we started in asset management, we started in financial services, but very quickly we're moving now into the legal field, we're moving into technology, and this movement is starting.
Yeah, we will come. We will come. We have got a half an hour of talking about asset management, money management. Believe me, it's going to be very interesting. You see, as I said, I'm always following Lee Southey's posts. I'm checking everything. Believe me, I do.
Okay.
Lee is the person who is, remember I asked, how do we get there? But Lee is got the right path, because he's talking about engaging young people, put them into industries that we feel we don't have a say, or we don't even have a presence. Another thing that what I see is this. Please don't get me wrong, whoever is watching, I just want people to understand. This is my own opinion. We shouldn't concentrate on the idea of reminding ourselves who we are, because I see when there is a shop opened, somebody says, this is black-owned shop. Yes, we can see. We can see the name. It's an African name, or it's a Caribbean name. Why do I have to tell you that this is a black TV, online TV channel? I don't have to say that, because I know, we know it. The issues we are talking about concerns us. The people you are going to see on the channel are likely to be 85% black people. Do you think that we are contributing to this idea of limiting ourselves because we have to always, it is like our fight is, yes, I have to be black. I have to, anything that I do is black. You think that is the problem? South. Lee.
Oh, that's a very good question. Okay, I understand why people do that, because what it is, as we know, the black pound doesn't circulate fully within black businesses as much as other communities' pound circulate within their communities. So I understand why that person would say that. I do believe that we need to concentrate more on empowering our young people to learn the blueprint on how to achieve in British society. This is where we need more brothers like Justin to engage with our young people, to teach our young people the blueprint on how to achieve within British society and how to go around and deal with issues around racism within the workplace, with emotional intelligence, with conflict resolution skills. And there needs to be, like, there was a documentary recently on Channel 4 called The Talk. And I think the talk needs to be done in different realms. There needs to be a talk from the parents. Then there needs to be a talk within the school and education realm. Then there needs to be a talk within the workplace. how black people should act within the workplace and within business as well. Because whether we like it or not, there's rules to the game. There's always rules to every game. So when we're working, when we're in the corporate world, when we're in the education world, when we're at home, there's always rules. So I believe that we should always try to find ways to empower ourselves positively. And at the same time, I believe we shouldn't come from a place of hate. We should always promote love. So even though we promote our businesses, but we say we love all people, but let's support our own.
Very good. Yeah, it's very interesting you have brought this idea of the talk. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it, but I can actually see, or I can guess, because we were having a conversation on social media. Some people are praising it, but I'm just saying anything that is not made by an African Caribbean person or produced by an African or a person of people of African origin, it doesn't matter to me, because they will always, why do you have to tell me what parents told us when we were young? We know that. We know that. The things that I want to see is this. Let Channel 4 commission black writers, black filmmakers, everything should be. Because there we shouldn't start saying, oh yeah, well, you see, this film is all made, all of them are black people. Well, it has always been like that. We don't complain when a film is produced by a European. No. I do not want a European to tell me, to remind me what my parents told me when I was young. And that is my standpoint. Some people might disagree with it. But Lee, been nice talking to you about these issues, and also what you are doing actually to empower young people. Now we are going actually to go into this segment. Yes, so you have heard these gentlemen talking about Black Lives Matter, and there's the problems that are associated with it, or challenges. I wouldn't like to call them problems. But now let us go to another area whereby we feel that, yes, we are underrepresented. And Justin is the man to actually talk about this. So, Justin, I'm going to just to, let me see, where are we? Yes, Justin. What is very interesting, I know you've been leaning towards getting into the business side of things. I've been restraining you a bit. But I just want to know, because when Lee sent me the name, he said, yeah, I've got this guy, he does all this asset management and stuff. I just said, yeah, you see, we need people like you guys. And I think maybe from now onwards, we should actually come up with an idea of a show. At least each week, we have something to talk about. Because the positive thinking, we want people with positive thinking. We want to draw in people to hear what we think, not to be told what we think. Because here, I just want to hear from financial advisors, business advisors, academics, and stuff like that. But also, we want to have a database of what I mean. A database, should have a database of doctors, lawyers, a guy like from a business world like you, so that we know if I have got a problem, I know how to solve it and I know where to go. So I want to ask you, let us talk about investment or asset management. What is asset management? First of all, I know many people might say, why are you asking that question? I don't understand it. So you are here to explain. The floor is yours, Justin.
I think many people don't understand it, actually. So, I've got to say, even when I graduated with a economics degree from Warwick and I moved down to the city, I didn't really understand what asset management was. So I think very simply, asset management is a way of investing your money to make it work harder. So your pensions, insurance companies, institutions, they all put money away. And the idea is rather than put it in a bank account, they'll put it somewhere where they can get a better interest than you would in a simple bank account by investing in shares, by investing in bonds, by investing in commodities, property, all different types of asset classes in order to generate a decent return over time. So my role as a fund manager, I work with financial advisors. So a high net worth individual will go into a financial advisor and they will say, look, I want to earn a decent amount of return on my cash. The financial advisor then will then recommend funds that I manage, and I will try and generate a return with that money overall. I manage in total around about £6 billion. I lead on that, and I sit in a team which manages around 60 billion pounds.
The figures that you are talking about here, it's some people won't believe it.
Mm.
This is the question now for you, Justin. We said earlier that we are underrepresented. We are not so many. We, in that position like you are in, if I put it to you, you got there by hard working? No, was it education and hard work? Or the combination of the two?
I think it's a combination of the two, but I'd also add two other things in there. So I always did reasonably well at school. My mum was a teacher, which helped a lot. She was teaching me my times tables when I was 4 years old, and I'm now very grateful for that. Hard work, being a single parent and growing up and seeing how hard my mum worked, that was definitely something which rubbed off on me. But I think there's two other things as well. I think there's resilience. I do think you need to have a level of resilience to work in an industry where you are constantly underrepresented. An example might be when I first joined the asset management industry. I always felt that I always felt different. I always felt that I didn't really feel that I belonged in the asset management industry. An example of why that happens is, still to this day, I still get confused in my own office as a security guard. People think I'm a security guard. People, I've had that. I've had, a situation where at a gala dinner, an investment dinner, where I have been sat with in a room, 250, 300 effectively white people, white males, I should say. And I come to sit down, and one of the IFAs says, I see your twin over there. It's the only other black person in the room. This is when I first started managing money. All of these things, I think, have an impact on people when they first join the industry. So resilience is really important. And I think the last thing is luck. I think you have to have an element of luck. I have been lucky in that every single manager that I've had has been a great mentor to me. I'm still in touch with them today. Mentors to me are hugely important. That's one of the reasons why I've launched a mentoring scheme within my industry to ensure that people, when they first come in the industry, they have somebody to talk to, and that's every month that happens. So hard work, education, resilience, and luck.
Well, but also you mentioned one thing there. You said that you had mentors basically from the home.
Yes.
Yes. If you don't have that kind of a base from the home, it would be very, 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 very difficult actually to reach where you want to be, but also mental capability. You see, that comes into resilience, because sometimes you really have to to be resilient, because if you know you are good, and if you know what you do, you can actually do it as anyone else. Then you don't really have to be. You don't have to worry whatever people say, because I always tell people when they see me do the things I do. I say, how do you learn all these things? I say, well, look, I took an opportunity to go to university as a mature student. The opportunity came. I went to university and really worked hard. And I can tell you, I never handed my work late. In fact, I was handing in my work earlier, 2 days or 3 days before. And even when we are on break, I would still be working on my assignments, because I knew I needed to catch up. There is something, or maybe I didn't do it because I wanted to prove to someone that I can do it. I just thought, look, this is an opportunity here. I have to take it. So now you are saying you are setting up is it an academy you are setting up, or some sort of an academy just to bring people to this to understand it, financial institution?
Yeah, there's a number of things. So it's an after-school program for 14-year-olds, and the idea is here to teach softer skills in deprived areas. Also focus on what managing money really means, and also then finally to expose them to different people in the asset management industry. The second thing we do annually, we do an annual event. So focused on the entry kink, which I mentioned earlier on, an annual event which we take, because when you speak to a lot of these companies, they say, well, we can't find the black talent. So we said, well, look, we will use our networks, and we will go and find this black talent from the universities, and we'll get it in front of you on an annual basis. So we did that last year in Mansion House with the City of London. It went down really well. And a lot of those people have managed to get jobs in the asset management industry since then. And then the final one, I'd mentioned, the intervention, as we spoke about earlier on. I actually think the big challenge now is once people get into the workplace, how do you help them to adapt to the different culture? And I put it like this. I think that we all have a big challenge in trying to adapt to corporate culture, but the more different you are, the bigger the adjustment has to be. And what happens is when you make that adjustment, then you move away from being your authentic self. So actually helping people to navigate that, saying that, look, we've been through it. And it's usually a group of senior leaders. So we have essentially 14, 15 people on one side of the table of 0 to 5 years experience, and then 4 people on the other side of the table of 15 years plus experience. And we just help them to navigate it. It's Q&A. We typically have themes that run through on a monthly basis. And that the feedback from that has been incredible. That it's been like, well, if we didn't have this, we would be alone in the workplace. So yeah, I think those are the 3 key interventions: after school program, the entry level annual events, and also these mentoring circles that we do on a monthly basis.
So now, this is very good. This is very good. It's very good to hear this. As Lee is always actually looking for people to recruit these young people, to put them in industries that actually where we are not visible. But you as a mentor, do you actually teach these young people, apart from financial management, do you teach them to be themselves? Not to go into a place thinking, I am a black person, someone is going to see me as a black person, but see me as a person who can do a job equally as anyone else. Yeah?
I think it's about really pulling out that authentic self out of that particular person. Not everybody is confident. Not everybody has huge amounts of resilience. And I think if we keep on saying that as a black person, you need to have lots of resilience. You need to be able to, combat the microaggressions you see in the workplace. You need to be able to, have a voice at the table. You need to be able to do this, that, and the other. Then all of a sudden, that's the reason why there's so few people at the top, because the mental toll, the emotional toll on people, year after year of going through that just becomes extremely difficult. So what we try to do is say, look, you're in this together with a lot of other people. And I think that togetherness, that creating a network, all of a sudden creates some support. And they always say, diversity is being invited to the dance. Inclusion diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being invited to dance, but belonging is being able to dance in the way that you want. And I think that what you want is eventually that as you get your feet ingrained into a particular organization, that you start to feel that belonging, and your true authentic self starts to come out.
Fantastic. Now, so South, I know you are there. You are fighting. You can. I think now you have got a good pair. There you are pairing up, because what Justin is actually doing, it looks like you have been doing this. So in order to move this forward, what do you think needs to be done? Can we reach to our black community and say, well, look, it is time now to start helping ourselves, because Asians do it. We can't keep saying we need funding from somewhere. And I find this issue of funding, sometimes it is slowing us down.
Yes.
I think we are 3 million of us, but then again, that includes children and people who are not working. I always have this idea of a £1 campaign. If we were to say we are setting up this GoFundMe, it can be a page, it can be anything. So look, we are not asking for nothing more than £1. Because what we want to do X, Y, Z. We are setting up an academy, which you already have. Say this £1 is going to do X, Y, Z. So by the end of the month, if we say we will collect maybe 100,000, that will we will be able to recruit young people. We will also be able to set up our own institutions in order to take ourselves out of where these situations are. I hear people talk about Rothschild a lot. And because I've been reading what these people were. Rothschild, they are ghetto people. They came from the ghetto. I'm sure Justin must know this. Yeah? You see, there are 4 brothers. I think 2 are twins. And then so they dispersed themselves. One remained in Germany, another one went to Italy, France, and another one came here. So their main purpose was, they said, well, look, we have to get out of this. Because the Jews in Germany, they were like, believe me, the treatment that they got is just like, exactly. Rothschild were ghetto people. So they managed to galvanize themselves and go and study what is happening in England, Italy, France. And whatever they did it as one. Just because one is in Italy didn't actually stop him collecting money and bringing it together to the Rothschild family. So this is what then it takes me back to this community thing. Having not to see that we are okay now and nobody is actually now stopping us from doing what we want to do. But yet again, we are weakening ourselves because we cannot employ ourselves. I haven't seen a black firm that can employ a black person. Maybe there could be. but I haven't seen. Now, when I walk on the street, I see all these Kentucky franchises and fried chicken and stuff. You see, the Asians, they are employing themselves. You see, that when Lee said in the beginning that the black pound does not circulate within our community, man, it will not do. It won't until we realize that we have to be in control of the industries that we are supposed to be. Yeah. Look, we are security guards. So who owns a security guard farm here as a black person? Very few. But we are there. We are the people now in big buildings, thinking that now I've got a job. Yeah, I'm employed by this. But who is the manager? So Lee, I just want you actually to tell our viewers, what do we really need to do? Because I have spoken so much. This show is not supposed to be me. It's supposed to be you guys. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, I'm a student myself, even though I'm getting a bit grey, but I'm still learning myself. And basically the project that I'm doing, Black Business for Black Youth, was inspired by Talk About Black. When I started to see it on Twitter, and I started to see they were organizing events, and I thought, oh yeah, this is very good. And they, as being a youth worker, some of the young people I used to work with, especially the ones who were very marginalized and disenfranchised, and I met them recently. One has a modeling agency, the other one runs a tech company. And I thought to myself, okay, that's what gave me the idea for Black Business for Black Youth. Okay, I can only say my opinion. I believe that one of the positives of this recent Black Lives Matter euphoria is I'm seeing more Black British business networks being established. So we're seeing, so for example, you have the Black Solicitors Network, you're seeing Black property owners coming together and networking, which is a positive. And I think we need to build more networks and more networks within different industries, i.e. the legal profession, the tech industries, property developing industries. And we need to create more of a culture, even though we do have a lot of trailblazers and achievers like Justin who are giving back in the community. But I believe one of the ways we need to go forward now is that we need to get more of our trailblazers from our community and people like you too, Joseph, into the schools. We need to get, that's where it needs to happen, because statistically they're showing that many African and Afro-Caribbean boys in particular are achieving well in primary schools. But there's something that happens when they go into secondary school, whereby then they start to see that they're not achieving as well as they were when they were in primary school. Now, my opinion, I'm not quoting no statistics, but this is my opinion. I believe it's a mixture of adolescence with YouTube, where we see an influx of negativity, of bad role models, of rap. I'm not saying all rap is bad, but a lot of the rappers smoking marijuana, drinking, promoting gangsterism, misogyny, disrespect for our women, drug use, promoting criminality. And this has been, how can I say, saturated on social media, and that has engulfed our young people. So I believe the way forward, we need our trailblazers in all professions, in law, politics, tech, IT, to come into the schools, especially schools where we are the majority, i.e. in Brixton, Harlesden, Tottenham, Peckham, Moss Side, Lascelles, Handsworth, and to inspire our young people so they can see with their two eyes, yes, I don't need to just to be a rapper or a footballer. We've got this person here, they're a high achiever in law, they're a high achiever in tech, they're a high achiever in IT. I could be like him. And let me ask him a question. What's it like as a black man working in this industry? What's it like? What do I need to do? These are the things that we need to concentrate on. And we need our parents, we need as a community, this is my opinion as well. I don't mean no disrespect to anyone. We need as a community to stop blaming other communities, one. Two, we need to stop blaming institutions, and we need to start building up ways of working in partnership with the institutions. So I'll give you an example. I'm far from perfect. There's a school we're doing some work with in Moss Side. Many of the young kids who are disproportionately getting excluded from school are of African and Afro-Caribbean heritage. So I was invited to come and do a Black History Month presentation there. And some of the teachers, I'd be straight with you, even though they had a few African, Afro-Caribbean teachers, but it was some teachers of white European heritage, British heritage, and Asian heritage coming to me, saying to me, what can we do to stop young Black boys getting permanently excluded? I said, we need to bring in some mentors so they can see positive Black men. So with their help and assistance, we were able to bring in, Justin was also advising on this project as well. He was advising us on many positive strategies and way forward. We got positive Black men from the community to come into the school to inspire our young people. And I believe this is the way forward. We need our trailblazers to come into the schools so our young people can see someone who looks like them who's achieving. Because what I'm learning is, actually, when people see something that has a stronger power than the words. That's what I'm gonna say.
Very good. I know you can do it. So going to schools, that's the best thing to do. But I just want to ask this question. I just want to get the words right. It is a good idea to go to school because I have seen it. Also, young people, they need to know where they came from, especially those who from the Caribbean and African. Tell them what is good about where they came from, not all the negative things all the time. But how do you, apart from going to the school, could there be a way like a weekend workshop whereby you get the parents and the kids?
Definitely. Definitely. Like you said before, when you spoke to Justin, you noticed that one of the secrets of his success is the home, whereby his mother was a teacher and she drummed into him timetables. So say likewise, we need to have workshops with the parents and with the parents, with the carers, with the elders in our community, because we have youth workers within our community. Sometimes they're the bigger problem, telling our young people this, and I'm not sure if you've heard this. The society is racist. You won't achieve. If you get a job, it means just above broke. You're wasting your time. So if you have youth workers telling our young people this, and youth workers inviting guest speakers telling our young people this, what is this going to do for our young people? So we need to instill in our young people a growth mindset.
That's right.
And we need youth workers and community leaders to have a growth mindset. And those who don't have a growth mindset, we need to push them out the way. Dash them out. Sorry, pardon my Jamaican slang. We need to dash them away. And as a community, I'm going to go one step further. Before my wife pulls me away from the screen. The rappers that we hear who are consistently rapping about misogyny, consistently promoting drug dealing, consistently promoting violence. As a community, we need to be honest. We can't be blaming other people. We need to say, you know what? If these artists are preaching this poison to our young people, as we all know, it penetrates subconscious. We as a community need to start boycotting these people. We need to say, look, boycott them. Don't buy their music. And lobby the government to make sure that YouTube doesn't make them monetize of this filth. Because when I recently had to do something in a prison before this COVID thing, and when I saw a sea of young Black boys, it really broke my heart. And what even broke my heart even more is when I was hearing them recite this filth that I've seen penetrate their brain. So we as a community need to boycott these artists who are poisoning our young people, and we need to be more accountable as well.
We have got only 1 minute to go.
Sorry, Justin.
Right,
sorry.
that's fine. That's fine. So that's okay. I can add another 3 minutes for you guys just to round up. So Justin, basically we have covered everything. See, for me, What now I want to see, I want to know more about, talk about black. We want actually to see how it can reach more people. And I know with the combined force of Lee South and yourself, yes, I am in. So you can ask me to do anything you want me to do. I will do. I know Lee has asked me lots of time just to have volunteers and stuff like that.
Interns,
Yeah. But I am working on that volunteer program because you see what I realized is this. In our industry, this has got nothing to do with racism. It's got nothing to do with whatever level you are. In our industry, when a student finishes college, say media college, when they go to do as an apprentice, yeah, it takes them 2 years in order to actually to get a job. So, for example, if somebody was trained as a camera person, it will still take that person 2 years at that ITV or BBC, because there you have now to go through the practical things. Never mind that what you have wrote on the paper, you might know the camera works like this, you need to put the light here, blah, blah, blah. But where they take you through, they start you from actually handling cables. And then they will tell you, put that cable there, as if you don't know. They will say, okay, patch that one there. Until they know that, they are sure that what you are doing, then they will give you a job that you are supposed to do. They will keep you on. They will even give you money for transport and stuff like that. So for me here, because some of the stuff I have taught myself, some of it I have learned them from university. But what I learned from university is to be able to think and solve a problem. Operating a camera is not a big deal. Or editing a video using a software is not a big deal. The thing is, how do you solve problem? Can you work under pressure? Can you listen to the client? Because what happens is this. Once you are in an industry like ours, I am no longer a cameraman. I am just an instrument to be used. A producer and a director, they bring in a project, I have to listen to them. You see, that's what I learned. So these are things that maybe we need to start training our young people to listen. Listen to the client, listen to what they want you to do, not what you know. Because normally as a young person, they want to show you the computer wizardry that they have. They will tell you, I can use these effects, I can use... No. To many clients, those things are not very important. They want to tell their story. So I am working on the program which will actually benefit us all, especially within our community. I see many people, they go to attend these media courses and stuff like that. Then they come off, they can't really go anywhere. They won't even go to ITV or BBC as apprentice unless you go to a college like Ravensbourne or Portsmouth, because there they have got a program that when a student, as you go into that college, they will already know that you can go here and there, spend 2 weeks there, spend a week there, see what they do. Because that's what I did. My degree was actually a practical one. I went to music studios. Even I had my own recording studio, believe me. Yes, built by myself because I can do a whole lot of things. But yes, university actually put me on the straight course, thinking. Doesn't matter what you know, what you can do. So I went into these apprentice places, into larger studios to see how they do those things. From how they handle the clients, how you talk, and even I was made to make tea. Yes, I was made, see one of those big girl bands and stuff, I made tea for them. So I learned. So it is really very good. So Justin, let us round up. I just want to, you guys after this, then we're gonna have to come up with a plan. Let us have a continual discussion, because I think it will benefit people, and we will direct it to the right people. The crowd will come slowly. So Justin, round up asset management.
So, yeah, I think that the asset management industry is an industry which touches us all. We've all got pensions, we've all got savings. I think that asset management is, a great way to return over cash. Yes, it's underrepresented, but I do think that is changing. I think movements like Talk About Black will help to change that. But just going back to what you said, there's two big takeaways from me. Is it's not good enough for us to come onto this show and to talk about fragmentation and there not being a community. I think that the big takeaway I've got is that us three, at the very least, need to speak after this and need to come together with all the initiatives we've got, and let's try and use our own networks. The second thing I'd just say is when people go into these organisations, they've benefited throughout their lives from working hard, as you said, and they go into these organisations and they think that, okay, if I just work hard on my technical skills, I'm going to get through. I would just say that it's so important to focus also on your softer skills, your networking, the way you speak to people. Why? Because ultimately, asset management, and in fact, all of our corporations, all our big corporations, they tend to be people businesses. You get promoted and you progress your career on the basis of people putting you forward for different projects, for in management meetings, saying positive things about you. So it's so important that as well as your harder skills, as well as your technical skills, you also focus on those softer skills as well. But yeah, asset management for me, it's just carrying on the way I am and trying to continue the decent performance that we've achieved over the last 7 years, and really trying to grow the book into a £10 billion book within the next 3 years.
Lee, I'm going to have to finish with you.
Thank you.
Just talk about, I just want to, Justin went back again, defragmentation. I just want you to say a few words. How do we defragment ourselves?
In my opinion, the way that we as a community or various communities can come together is by agreeing to disagree. So we need to find ways where the Ghanaian community can work with the Nigerian community, can work with the Sierra Leone community, can work with the Jamaica community, the Trinidadian community, the Bayesian community, the Grenadian community, the Montserrat community, and the Black British community, and the Somalian community, the Kenyan community, the Ugandan communities, and all the tribes. And then within the Christians, all the denominations, the Church of God Prophecies, the Pentecostals, the Seventh-day Adventists, the Baptists, as well with the Black Muslims, whether they be Sunni, Shia, Sufi, and with the Hebrews as well. As we know, we need to find, because at the end of the day, we need to help our young people, okay? And the only way forward, we could debate whether you're conservative, whether you're Labour, whether you're Lib Dems, Green Party, or even the Brexit Party. Yeah, but we need to find ways where we could work together to benefit our community, benefit our youth, and that will benefit society. Because at the end of the day, Britain has made such dramatic changes. When my parents, when they came here in the 50s, so when they went back to Jamaica to retire in around the year 2000, they said to me, Britain has changed so much. And they said, look, there's nothing for you in Jamaica. This is your home. This is your home. So we as Black British people need to understand this is our home. Whether we like it or not, we all love fish and chips. We all love EastEnders, okay? And at the same time, we all like, if we don't like fish and chips, we like our Jamaica patty with chips. And like all like jollof rice with jerk chicken. We live in a multicultural society in the UK. And we need to recognize that. And let's find a way to work together to benefit our community and benefit our young people.
So, you have heard the men talking. You know, the very good thing that I like about this, Lee was talking about defragmentation. Let me remind you this. Let us not kid ourselves. Me as an African, we know we are not together. He has already said it. We are not together in every way. The guy has actually mentioned all the nations in Africa. But then again, you find that we are multiple tribes, we speak different languages. But what bothers me is that Africans, we are on a foreign land, or we are in the foreign land, yet we don't realize that. We don't think that we have to make the best that we have. It's like yesterday, we were discussing about Cameroon. Cameroon is a country that is divided by English and French. Can you imagine people fighting over just because I speak French, therefore you speak English, I don't recognize you? Lee has raised a very big point. We need to get together, and if we don't, we can bury our heads in the sand and we say, things are okay, man, I've got a car, I've got a nice house, I've got everything worked out. But let something happen when needs a community or to be solved as a community. An example is Grenfell Towers. That's where I'm going to leave. Gentlemen, it has been nice talking to you, and we will be back. We have to revisit this issue. Thank you for watching, and Justin and Lee, you've been great.